Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi. Dave,
Hey,
you're in the jungle.
you're in Canada. I mean, I don't know which is preferable, but
Yes, you
although
do.
I have to say, there were times where I, was in Florida watching you watch the Skate Canada event where I felt, you should be jealous of me. And then
I
there
am.
were times that I saw you watching like the ladies event and I thought, I am jealous of you. So
Yeah.
if you are new here, this is this and that. We'll be discussing everything going on in Skate Canada this weekend. Please subscribe below, smash that like button, send us love like we're Joshua Ferris in 2015. Jonathan, let's start with the ladies. That's why people are here. That's why
Right.
they're,
It's just a quick homage to UBC because that's where the event was held. And I had to purchase this along with thermal socks, a heating blanket, heat pads for my hands, gloves, and thermal socks because I was dying. This is the coldest arena I have ever been in my entire life. I don't think it got above 50 degrees in the place. I have never experienced that. It was
that just
insane.
makes you hold your loved ones in closer. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's like, do I have goosebumps from the performance or am I just freezing? Or both. The ladies here were insane. It should be called like Skate Canada Triple Axel International. Yes. I have never seen so many ladies triple axels in my life, Dave.
Yes, great, right? It was just, it was really exciting to watch, especially because some of the other events, the earlier events were,
Yes, this was the hot event for sure, which was not the case at Skate America. So that's why I was really excited to come.
The reverse, yeah. So let's start with the Americans, okay? Because
right, them, yeah.
Well, also what's going on this weekend is the U.S. Championship qualifying series, championship series, whatever you want to call it, in Leesburg, Virginia. So, and Lindsay Thorngren competed there. So it was interesting is because I think we've talked about it. Chen, I think, has seemed like a lock for many people since March of last season. Coming in here, not a great autumn classic, and this competition. What was your take on Chen? Obviously, we love her skating, we love her music choices. Just kind of talk it out.
Well, it was interesting because in the short program in particular, it was so lovely. And even with the small errors, you were like, this is such a quality skater. And I thought, it's harder for me when I'm live to catch on the other end of the rink all of the under rotations. So it's always like I have to go back to the scores to figure out what was happening. But I thought she was really about to have a nice moment in the free skate until she just imploded with those like strange kinds of errors and all these things. But she really is like an outstanding skater. And I think like she is among the top PCS skaters, but these jumps, it's more of the same. I was impressed she went for the triple after the Lutz. But of course it was slightly problematic. But again, I thought she was about to have a moment until she didn't.
Yeah, and you could go on skatingscores.com and kind of look at everything in real time because, his website is much easier than the ISU. As soon as the event is over, the ISU moves on to the next event. So I have to say that this is perhaps, one of the most preferable things about it.
Well, because he's the only place I can find the enhanced protocols every time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
They didn't give Karen the carrot on the Lutz of the triple Lutz, triple toe. I thought that they were both under when watching it on a big screen. Obviously, the triple flip was under, the loop was a Q, double axel under, sow under, the Lutz double carrot, loop double carrot. So very much a rough.
But those strange kinds of falls where she comes out forward and splats, and again, these like kind of clunky falls, it's hard.
Yeah, and the kind of fall that she took, on the Lutz, it would like hurt your hamstring. It would be shocking. But she got right up into the spin, obviously with adrenaline. But, I think she's still in it for the Olympic team. And I think that she's still obviously one of the favored ones, but she needs to pull it together. And people say that she peaks at the right time. I think that is true, but it's a journey to get there for her. And it looks like it would be very rough. So as we move on to Alysa Liu, kind of what is your take on her?
Okay, are you ready for this, Dave? Like, so yes, we're told, oh, she's so much better now. She's more artistic now, like la, 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 la. And we're like, yeah, but everyone says that all the time. Having seen her live twice at both of those nationals, and now seeing her live here, she still doesn't cover much ice. She's very much in the middle. And that was the most glaring thing to me in person still, but her speed, she is so much faster than she used to be. So I really appreciated that. And I'm sorry, I think these are really classy programs. And the judges went with her on a lot of this PCS. They were great music choices. I think they fit, she's got a lot of great choreography that follows the music. I love her energy. She has like she filled the arena with personality, which is something we'll talk about, because there were very clear performances in a positive way, especially in the long, and everyone else was just skating. So, but she just has like a great personality on the ice. And the triple axel, like we saw her do a lot in the warm-ups that looked pretty good. Like I know she didn't achieve it in the free, but the short one was pretty good. I don't know. I'm just so impressed at someone who was somewhere almost in an artificial way, struggled, and is actually very slowly building back. I think I don't know, I find it really tremendous. Her team's work, very tremendous. And of course hers.
I see more glide from her, which I think is really great. She does spin off the toe on her technique, especially you can really see on the flip and the lutz, a bit on the axle. And I don't think that that's going to change, but I think as the more she can get into the ice and really bend those ankles, it will help. She was against some skaters here who can really have the great skating skills. So it does kind of stand out where she lacks, but I think she's clearly the best in the US. Recovering well, doing all those combinations at the end, some of them, the rotation kind of dicey, but I think that'll help the more speed she gets and the more control. There are a couple moments, I think, in the violin concerto where I think it's great music. I don't know that the choreography and the music and everything is elevating her right in the beginning, but that's, splitting hairs a little bit. She's kind of where she needs to be. I was left feeling like I wish Karen had a better choreographer, because Karen has the music and the movement and they work on it, but sometimes there's Karen's like all on one plane, especially in the short program. Like I just think that they could do something more original, more out of the box of just like checking the elements and having beautiful movements in between. I think she's ready for that Satoko performance, and I don't think that her material always works. And maybe like she and Drew could visit Lori and work on touching it up and creating the moment, because I think Karen's at like an 8.5 when she could go to a 9 in terms of performance. And it's not there yet, and there are things that they could do, and I think it would benefit her, it would benefit Drew, it would benefit everyone, and kind of put those pieces together.
Because in many ways she has the ability to be a breathtaking skater, and right now the material makes her lovely instead of breathtaking, I think.
So
what are you being artful?
No, I was seeing people like talking behind me, and I was I was like, am I way too loud? What is happening? I don't think so. I'm checking. So moving on to let's go to the Japanese ladies. So Mai Mihara really had the performance of the event for quite a bit of the night. It was I thought she was really underscored in the short. So Mai Mihara, like when she first burst on the scene and I saw her 4 continents and all this sort of stuff, she was a really consistent skater. She always had a nice, energy and way about her. It was just that it was like a little bland. Yes.
And now she's probably skating with different motivation. Her time away maybe helped reinvigorate a passion or has a point of view and perspective. And I thought her short program was incredible. I was surprised she was as low as she was. And the free skate, it's like, do you remember when Frank was talking to you about Dennis 10 at that Worlds? He's like, did you know the miraculous thing happened where he became a better skater overnight somehow with all those judges? It was sort of that. I think she gave them permission to give her the scores. It was a wonderful thing to see, and has me wondering if she's going to end up as a real option for their team.
Well, the free program was so lovely and such a moment, and real music, especially after watching the men's, watching the pair of it. There's a lot of fixing going on, a lot of emo. It's too much. It's gone way too in the wrong direction. Yeah.
And I almost sat down and did a percentage. It was like a joke in our whole section. We're like, emo ballad, here it comes. And oh look, another emo ballad. Remember in the Dick Button montage when he's like, oh look, a catch foot. Oh look, another catch foot. That's what it feels like with these emo ballads, especially because they do the complete song. They're not infusing other energy. So like you're talking about, I loved the days of the 90s when it was like, start big, go slow, end big. And this is just sort of like feelings, generic angst.
And it's rough, especially when they do it in the short as well. They're already fixing each other, holding each other close in the short program, and it's not effective for me. Like Vanessa and Eric have that same energy in both programs, and it's tough. I think it detracts from the viewer. I don't think anyone wants to watch 2 hours of skating while sad. It's just
Do you have I have something called a crying playlist.
Okay.
Where I put like all the sad songs. So if I need like a little moment, I'm gonna go to those songs that I know trigger it. Who would want to listen to an hour and a half of like emo music when they're here to enjoy skating? Like it just and think about our favorite performances that I will always go back to. None of them are just like bland emo teenage girl sitting in a window while it rains crying. Like that's not the moment for an Olympic season, I think.
It is not the moment. But
well, so I love that Galina makes you do something spicy. I was thinking of that actually when she was like, no funeral music.
We have an update. I don't know that. So I think I've not, I've had reluctance about the blues and that we're adding a lot of difficult elements and things. And like, is it time? Is it a year early? So she said that I could switch the music as long as it's classical. So
great. Dave, let's brainstorm. You give me the vibe you're going for. I'll send you some ideas.
I have a couple ideas. There's a couple front runners. So
are you keeping it secret or do you want to share?
No, we can talk about it. I mean, people are going to give a lot of things, but you have to realize like my vibe and what I'm going for.
You have to connect to it.
Yeah. I've always wanted to do Pagliacci. That's kind of on the back burner. That's not one of the, it's like the third choice,
That has this to it. That's
which I think my skating needs, right? My skating has a little bit more of that than some of the options people will give when they're like, oh, I love this classical. I'm like, that's beautiful, but it's not me, that's Karen Chen. So Chopin Fantasy Impromptu is up there, but I have to cut it because it gets like way too fast in parts. So if that's possible, but that's been one of them, which I just think is lovely and would be stretching and enjoyable, and maybe not like the most emotional piece for me, but I think it would be very nice. And then, because I usually go more emotional, but I've thought, it's so funny because in 2010, I hated this piece of music in the beginning. And if you read my blog back then, I just was not into it. And over time, I was like, you know what? It's fabulous. I talked to Sandra about it. And she's like, well, yes, it's music for a drama queen. She's like, of course. I'm thinking of doing the Bells of Moscow.
I love that music. Because, if you don't want the orchestral version, it's originally a piano piece. If you felt it was too heavy. Because that seemed to be everyone's complaint about Maus was that the orchestral version is so heavy and the piano one has a totally different vibe.
It would need to be edited down and not so repetitive and the parts and find, the right mix. But, we never saw Michelle Kwan's version, just like we never read Truman Capote's Answered Prayers. So maybe this will be my Answered Prayers program for the world.
Amazing.
You never know. Did Michelle do that to herself while she was performing? I don't know. So yeah, well. But people give me a lot of like intermezzos and stuff, and it's funny. Our friend Chris Schumann and Sandra gave me the same piece of music, and Galina was like, "Oh no,"
Which one?
It's the Rusticana, the
Cavalleria Rusticana.
Yeah,
the
Cavalleria.
From it.
Yeah. She was like, "No." Yeah. So then I sent Galina also. I sent to Victor. I'm like, "Do you think Galina would like this? The music from Raymond, the da 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 da." He did the beginning for 3 years. So yes, I think it's a powerful piece of music. Galina makes a beautiful program for you.
He's funny. Okay.
Yes. But yeah, that would be more the vibe. She was like, your skating look like you want to be in 1992 Olympics. And I was like, that's correct.
Those were the prettiest medals with all that crystal.
The prettiest skating, in many respects. So yes. Yes. That's when we fell in love. Yeah. Well, let's talk about a skater I've been falling in love with more and more and more. And Wakaba Higuchi had such a moment in 2018 at the World Championships with the Skyfall program. A couple injuries. I thought the music up and down and up and down. I think the last 2 years especially, she's really found a passion, and there's something inside of her that she's sharing with the audience, and it's taking a little bit of time for the Japanese Federation. She almost nailed it here.
Almost, yeah.
And I'm worried that she wasn't the top Japanese lady, because anytime that she gives the Federation an excuse to be a little down on her, I worry. But what was your take live? Because watching it, it's fabulous. The double of the Lutz in the second half, and it might have either been the flip of the Lutz at Japan Open, but it was in the same section. It cost her a lot here. This was such a well-skated event.
Mm-hmm.
She could not afford that mistake of those 5-6 points coming off.
Right.
It would have made all the difference for her. What was your take on seeing her live?
Now, it was interesting also when I went to Skating Scores and looked at her protocol, they didn't give her very much GOE on the triple axel. Now, it was on the other end of the rink for me.
Yeah.
But and of course, someone like Kostornaia's entrance to her triple axel is so complex and difficult and all this sort of stuff. This is not a Japanese thing, but it was like Midori.
Yeah.
It was, I thought she was going to jump into the rink or into the stands at 100 miles an hour. It was the most exciting. Yes, I know Valieva did all her quads and stuff. The most exciting jump for me was that triple axel, because it reminded me of why I love skating. The power, the spring, the trajectory, that it was just so fast. And I love it. I love this program. And talk about an Olympic moment.
Yeah.
This music edit is not just some girl be like, I have feelings, I'm really upset. This was just like joy and like drama, and I loved all of it.
I think she add in a second triple axel to really.
I wondered that. Yeah. Yeah.
The final's likely out at this point, unfortunately, because of the result here. So add it. I think she needs it. At least to be in amongst the medals, because
it's all the material is there, the talent is there.
She needs the axle in the short program. She needs those points. Look, Rika Kahira, injured, not seeing her so far. This is Wakaba's moment to step up and step through. She skated very well here. We'll see her again, but hopefully at least the axle in the short, if not in the free. It's becoming very consistent. So hey,
to me, it's the best ladies triple axel in the business right now in many ways. Although I do enjoy and appreciate Elizaveta's. When we talk about her, I'll go into it, but like Wakaba's is there's some sort of energetic like excitement to that jump that there were two performances to me, and Wakaba's was one of them. And it was interesting because Ted, who can't even say Megan Duhamel's name correctly because he kept pronouncing her Duhamel. I was like, this has got to be like some sort of epidemic for him. But they were interviewing Caitlin Osmond, Patrick Chen, and Alaj. And they were all like, who's your favorite performance of the evening? And they all said Wakaba. Every single one.
I loved it. I loved it.
The audience, like, what is the point of skating as a spectator? It's me to be emotionally like moved.
I thought she and Mai Mihara had the best components watching. So
yeah.
Also, you missed in Leesburg, Virginia. Gracie had a great short program.
Oh my God, really? Did she do a triple?
No, she did a triple-double. She did fall in footwork. It really looked like if she committed between now and the US Championship, she could really pull something together. She went for the triple in the free. It didn't happen, but she went for it. And then on the back, and then it's that Arashev student cannot recover from the mistake that so many of them have struggled with. But Jonathan, you missed the real moment. She got off the ice. She's talking to whoever. She skipped the kiss and cry. And the way the camera feed was, it was like clearly they had instructed this person, you film them off the ice, you move to the kiss and cry. Well, Gracie just pieced out and didn't go to get her marks, which I don't think helps you with the judges moving forward. When you start to have this thing happening. And I don't know if it's the first time with her. I can't remember, but that kind of an attitude doesn't, it's a pageant as much as anything else. When you get your marks and you do everything right.
Yeah.
It doesn't offend me on a personal level at all. I think she had a rough skate and whatever, but
she probably didn't want to sit there and watch replays of her.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like so many have to.
The camera was fixated on the empty kiss and cry. So it felt like the end of The Sound of Music.
Okay. I was just going to say, the Family Von Trapp.
And Lindsay did very well. She didn't need to compete here, but she did. And she's, I think getting ready for the senior. She's getting a senior B for qualifying score. Lindsay had.
Did she win? I'm assuming she would have won.
She won, but she went for. She's going for the triple axel, but it's not quite ready yet. So I don't know if that's what she should be doing. I mean, she can do if she can get those other triples clean. She's in it technically. Artistically, that's going to be really the deciding factor, how much passion and performance she can add. But if she can get those triples clean, she's in it. When you see Karen faltering,
and you don't see Brady.
You don't see Brady because of the injury. So it's her moment to make I think they have to really decide, is the triple axel happening and is it realistic for this moment in time? So,
well, although I would think that event in Virginia is actually the kind of place to test run it, as opposed to on an international
triple
stage.
axel, it's just not been close. It was like a triple axel.
Okay.
So, it was not.
Got it.
But the rest of the performance was good. She's rotated some more of her jumps, but she looks improving. She looks to have that kind of impress. But I was just thinking about.
Did Isabeau withdraw?
I don't think she needs to compete there, so she'll be at the final. And they don't have the pressure of Isabeau. Isabeau has no pressure of like going to the Olympics because she's too young. So it's
right. Yeah, I didn't know. I was just hoping she wasn't injured or something like that.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
So,
Dave, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
I know it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Is that why the New York music for Kostorная sounded like it was like a horror movie? When that New York started, it was like, speaking of Sound of Music, there's this, one of my favorite YouTube clips is where they re-edit the Sound of Music preview to make it look like it's a horror movie.
Horrible.
And like it's amazingly funny. And like, when she finds the pine cone in the bed, but then they re-edit it so she just opens the sheets and she's like, and then they have all this horror music in the background and they slow down The Hills Are Alive. And it's like, to make it all creepy and horror like.
Yes.
That's how this New York started. It sounded like it was this like weird, slowed down, creepy, wrong thing. And it totally turned off the audience and they didn't go with her at all.
I was wondering if they watched Ocean's 11 at Team Tutberitsa and just like got into Frank Sinatra. Like what happened? Marisi, Kostorная, like doing the New York.
Use Frank Sinatra. Here's the thing. This wasn't, she ended with Liza and you were like, if you had started with Liza, we'd probably have been with you the whole time. But this creepy opening was a total miss. And they must just hate her. And here's the thing. I don't know if you watched the warm-up. I mean, when they were doing the announcements and they're like, Karen Chen, 4th of the World Championship.
Yes.
And they're like, Kostorная. She left a Terry for Plushenko, and then I don't know.
They decided to come back.
Yeah, she asked them if she could return. Like it's disgusting. It's just. I'm sure the team did.
I don't know. It was hysterical. One, no lies were told, right? No lies were told in that situation. However,
why are we airing dirty laundry on an announcement? Also, by the way, the worst moment of the weekend was this female announcer who I believe, and I don't mean any disrespect with this, was having like a stroke every time she spoke because she stopped, she was stuttering, she couldn't say any words. Like it was a disaster. She got all the countries wrong. Like it was a mess.
You know that there's an old cricket club story that Jana Medvedeva like went on the ice when Evgenia got a new Matthew Caron dress and like took scissors to it and they all were like standing in shock. I wanted to do that to Kostornaia's dresses. Like it started well, but then like the free dress went too long. I thought that the dress that she did in the show, it was lovely when she did there's like too much happening in hers where like it's like sort of edgy and classy and then it gets moody. And overall, I thought she looked way better than 2 weeks ago. She's got a long way to go, even though she's doing the triple axel.
You don't notice her on the warm-up, Dave. It was really interesting in this group, in this warm-up. My eye never went to her. And actually, quite frankly, neither did Danny or Terry. They never looked at her either. They were all focused on Valieva all the time.
Well, she got the cue on the triple axel in the free. She's going for it. She needs to do 2. It didn't look like she had the stamina to do 2 here. It's so interesting. There's one point in the free that she just really booked it before the triple flip, triple toe, which she did nail, but it had a long setup. But it was impressive, but didn't always get the GOE that she could have gotten on it. she's really in that like moment of her season and her career where the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks are going to determine how well this goes, because remember, she doesn't have a lot of time. We talk about people being ready in February, but she doesn't have that. She has the end of December to pull herself up. She's likely not making the Grand Prix final, so she needs to claw and do everything she can to make this team. And some of the jumps look short to me. They just,
a lot of them did in person. That was one, even in person, you were like, at the other end of the rink, you're like, looks shaky. And I was in the section here, and the Kirsten choir was right there, and you could see Ateri and Danny like twitching the whole time. They obviously were disappointed with it.
I mean, they gave her the cue on the Sauerkraut, the Lutz, got a carrot. The choreographic step, it was interesting because it's a nice moment for her, but it's kind of hidden in the program. Not, didn't get the points that she was ranked 10th on that element. She needs to be ranked near the top if she wants to be competitive. And it's tough for her because her spins are not what they could be. They haven't been with her back injury. So it's hard because when you watch her, you want to give her the points, but it's like finding.
She gave you no reason to give her more PCS here, where she was the PCS skater when it was that trio. But I just, the judges are over it also. And also this material is terrible. And now we just made a sideways step.
The lovely program when she did it in the show was really good. But when she has to add the elements into it, and when she has to, the costume didn't work for me, but when she has to find it, she didn't find the spark until the end of the program. And even then it wasn't enough. So it's tough.
It was not a performance, I'll tell you that.
And I'm tending to think that it'll be two Beritza skaters, even though they wanted to sweep the Olympics. I think it's going to be Elizaveta Tuktamysheva. It was originally reported that she was going to do one triple axel. There were two triple axels and one in combo. She had such.
And they were solid. Like it was just, she made it so easy to understand. They were because so the last time I saw her live was 2017 in Grenoble at the Grand Prix. Yeah. She is twice as fast, and she is. We always talked about this. She has a personality. That's why we're all kind of rooting for her. But sometimes she would check it. She'd be like, okay, performer Elizaveta, you wait here. I'm going to go perform now. And so this time I felt like in her free skate, she was like actually infusing her personality in these moments and getting the crowd going. Performance of the night. Yes. It was the performance of the night. The audience couldn't get enough of her.
I couldn't get enough of her either. You know what? Smoke breaks galore in that free program. Yeah. She makes them so fun, and the edge and the sass and oh my God, it was funny. It was engaging. There was so much to it. And yes, she's resting to get these jumps.
I don't care.
It was so fun that she made up for anything weak in her skating. And it seems like in the last 3-4 weeks, she's started to believe that she's making it to the Olympics. And that's the biggest difference I see, is that she believes it now, and you're seeing the confidence click in for her.
She can do it. And you know what? The Federation better not get in her way. She is doing her job. This is incredible.
It's okay. I think there's too much upheaval going on. Kostornaia, Anna Sherbakova, is Mai Mihara going to be ready? Tuktamysheva's ready now, and that's the biggest thing.
You know what it reminded me of? She got out there and was like, hey, want to come along on this ride with me, audience? She knew there was an audience where like Kostornaia, or among a lot of others, Valieva, quite frankly, too, there's a wall between them and the audience. Yeah. So even though like Valieva's doing beautiful extensions and complex transitions or whatever, the wall is up. Like, leave me alone. I'm just doing the thing I'm here to do. And Elizaveta was like, come with me. Let's have a party. Let's like have a good time. Like, it was amazing.
I actually don't believe she's in the third slot on the team. I think she's in the second slot.
I think so too.
And that Truseva's in the third with this foot injury. I think that is the big question mark going forward, and then anyone else. And it would have to really be a big shift, to knock her out. But I would expect her to, like, if she makes
I'm curious if, because in her announcement, they were, explained that this is Elizaveta. She, I don't know, was a world champion or
100
whatever
years
they say.
old. She says.
Yeah, exactly. And she said she has landed triple axel in competition and she lands quads in practice. And I was like, what a weird thing to say. But she does land those beautiful quads in practice at times. So I wonder if they will attempt them at some point or if they're just going to go for consistency.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. So.
Yeah, exciting. It's such a feel-good story when that's what I'm really craving from skating.
How about moving forward, Valieva? I mean, obviously the performance is fantastic. The music to me in the short is not the same as last year's. It's not as good. It's not as engaging. And I wasn't on a ride with her, but I appreciated everything that she did. Exactly.
And a good performance is not one in which you appreciate it. It's one in which you're moved. Now, I was I was interested to see her live because I was not anticipating to like her as much as I did, quite frankly. And this is what happened also when I was in Grenoble in 2017 when I first saw Zagitova. I was like, oh, actually, no, this isn't undeserved if she ends up going for that gold. Valieva was, I think, the fastest skater out there. Like the amount of speed she was getting was insane. In the short program in particular, loud blades. Okay. Like every time she go, it was like nails on a chalkboard, which I don't know if anyone cares about that, but like it was interesting.
Because that means that the toe pick is scratching.
Yeah, it was really, especially in the short, it was just nonstop. You could hear it always, and you didn't really hear it from other women so much, but in the free it was much better.
Okay. Yeah. You know, she looked very nervous before the short. She had a rough warm up for what I could see with that triple axel. So, but the free, she was spectacular. The points were, Terry was grinning. Even you could see through the mask.
I think the writing's on the wall, how this is going to go. Yeah.
She has the momentum for sure. So.
Yeah. And like Zagitova, when she had a really rough start to her 17-18 season, she was really flailing in the shorts and stuff like that, but they got her on track. And that's what I thought. Valieva had like a moment of vulnerability there. And then this was sort of like, oh yeah, right. I remember. She's just
did grow. She is working through it, but it's working right now. And
yeah,
she doesn't have to hold on for a long time. She has to hold on until February.
Let's talk about it because Elizaveta won Skate Canada in 2011.
Yes.
So I was like, do I see Valieva in 2031 competing at Skate Canada? And when people ask why there's such respect for Elizaveta when they maybe don't understand it, that's a part of it. This is a skater that had a decade-long career on the Grand Prix, and I don't see any of these girls lasting past 2 or 3 seasons. Yeah.
Well, how about the dance event? So this is interesting because we're not going to see a third Team Tuberidze lady, likely.
Yeah, we will. She'll just be in a different discipline.
I've joked about it.
Knowing that there's truth in jest.
Often truth in jest. I don't think that there's always truth in jest, but there's definitely truth in jest in this situation.
Yeah.
Even seeing the machinations of the judging panel between the rhythm dance and the free, Diana Davis is going to the Olympics.
I don't see how she couldn't.
Been in an infectious disease unit. Heard she's been very ill. It's happening. The wheels are turning, okay? So much so that allegedly Igor Spielbahn asked Raphael to come watch his skaters. Raphael broke the COVID bubble protocol by accident and wasn't able to coach Nathan.
And you know what? Having been in that arena, we'll get to it when we talk about the men, I believe that. The whole thing was, it seemed slapped together because they clearly didn't plan on like really hosting an event, I guess, until last week. But there was everything was unclear. And there was no, like, it was haphazard.
So, but yeah, Diana Davis, it was so interesting to watch which dance teams were climbing and which ones are falling and which ones are having some issues. And watching, Diana, look, they're consistent enough. It reminds me of Lipnitskaya, how the marks just climbed event to event to event.
Right.
It's happening. It's
And
happening.
Terry stands out there and watches. She's making her presence known. Yeah. Yeah. And so here's the thing, the rhythm dance I found appalling and was surprised that they placed as high as they did. The free dance has a couple of moments. So like rotational lift, where like right at the beginning was very cool. They had like very cool moments in the free dance. So the free dance, I was like, well, okay, maybe a little. But God help me if they had beat the Spanish team.
Did you see the post on, I think it was on Twitter. Someone sent it to me. It was like a meme of Oksana Bayul's daughter, and they said that she had better edges than Diana Davis.
Well, yeah, it's not great skating. It's she's like maybe a Madison Chalk in some ways, that she knows how to be in a beautiful position in the air and pose beautifully and like schmacked. But I don't see it. If I look here, I'm like, oh, good for her. And if I look at the feet, I'm like, what's going on down there? Yeah.
Galina was so funny when she was talking about her ear problem, because Russia is behind her now. Okay, like this, her hearing issue in the past, not an issue to her skating. She was like, so she has a problem with ears. You have a problem with ankle. I have a problem with headache. Who cares? And
they do, because they don't talk about it.
Well, obviously.
Medvedeva should do a show program where she does this then. Because it all goes back. Okay.
With no assistance other than wanting it badly enough. Yes.
Yeah. So if you have a disability, it's your fault. You should just want to not have one. Yeah.
But honestly, one of the funniest Russian bullshit stories that we've ever heard. Okay.
Yeah.
She seems like a lovely girl, and obviously she was told to say that, and that was strategic because you don't want to cut down someone's components to be known as the disabled skater, which I understand it's not a fair world. So I get why they did it. It just reeks of how different cultures treat disabilities. So
there it is. Yeah.
Let's talk. Carrera and Ponomarenko, move from Igor to Scott Moyer to really learn that preparation. I didn't see the big improvements here, and I think it's a problem for them being so many points behind. Green and Parsons, not helpful for them. But Green and Parsons, in the absence of Hawaii and Baker, look like they're making a case for the Olympics even before we see Hawaii and Baker perform this season.
Well, we knew that like people were going to be nipping at Jean-Luc and Caitlin, but it was interesting, the Ponomarenko free dance, like when Scott Moyer was standing at the rink for a couple of teams, and I don't know if this is related or not, but those teams all had the worst music. They all had they were all just like sort of generic
music for them. Okay.
Yeah. They just didn't land. And so I don't know how that happened, because like the Marie France teams, again, when we get to the higher placed ones, they're also different. But the Scott teams just sort of had a bland, generic quality to them in general.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how they're differentiating with some of the teams. I know that he helps them, technically a great deal. He's supposed to be like the developmental coach for that school. I don't know if the other ones are working with him or he goes back and forth how that all works, but not my problem.
Oh, what I will say about Diana Davis is I thought the Rio program from the Canadians, which I love, I thought that should have been above Diana. No question.
Yes,
it was incredible. I just want to give him a shout out. Incredible performance, gorgeous costumes, totally innovative. I was interested the whole time. I was glad I liked it even more than I did when I saw it on video.
Did you like the Green and Parsons programs in person?
I don't know how it works on television, but the costuming for the free dance, excuse me, was very muted, kind of drab, which didn't help. I don't know. They were sort of.
We were with a friend that was just talking about their costumes for the free, and he's like, dreadful, awful. And there was a non-skating person there who was alarmed by the.
It was very odd. It was very odd. But the judges are going there. They're going there with them. I'm intrigued to see them climb over Ponomarenko. Really, I didn't think that would happen.
Let's cut the shit. I think everyone is wondering, are they going to move to Montreal after this year, or do they not need to? Because I think at this point, when you're looking at the fact that they're making the Olympic team, or potentially, right, they probably wouldn't move to Montreal. But then you look at what they're going to need to get to the next level after this season, maybe they should. And maybe their coaching team doesn't get that. But that to me is they've been with these coaches for so long. At what point will they make the move? Do they think they're going to need to? Are they going to make the move too late? And that's kind of my worry for them. But because it is dance and it is political and it is about finishing school and things like that, you know, their twizzles are good. Their twizzles are smaller. You know, there are just different things that they need. I think
they were very much like in the second group. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, you are the B category for sure. And you're right. If you want to make that move, now they're climbing to the top of the B category, especially in the States. But like, I don't know, maybe they can burst through. But you're right. I think maybe the material was a little like fine.
Yes.
I thought. So.
Yeah. Moving on, you know, Fear and Gibson. I love watching this team so much.
Disappointing.
The mistakes. They've had a slower start to the season. They're not carrying the momentum that they had with the Vogue program. I don't know if it's the Olympic season pressure and nerves getting to them a bit, but they just don't look as steady as they have in the past.
Or the nerves of trying to top what they've done, because they've done such exciting stuff.
Both programs are good for them, and they are the fun team, and people are ready to get behind them.
Yeah.
Actual skating, the mistakes really detracted.
Balls and twizzle. I mean, it was just this was an
unfortunate Marie France loves this team. I mean, you saw her holding the hands and the kiss and cry. I mean, it was like, I thought that Frau Mueller was there stroking her students. Katarina, oh yes. You know, I was like so ready for it. But
yeah.
Not
she was a real highlight. She was a real highlight watching Marie France do all the programs from the side. I love that woman. Dressed impeccably well. And that her passion for this art form, I don't know, it did not seem performative to me. Her passion at the side of the rink was incredible. And it was only topped by one other coach, and we'll get there when we get there.
I didn't feel as much Marie France-ness as usual, but we didn't see obviously the top teams with her, you know, and I mean, the one thing that I miss that's not on YouTube from the Olympics is like the Marie France camp that was happening during on that other view where you had the different views of the skating and the coaches and the replays and everything. Was the Marie France camp during the that was really the Olympics. Now, in terms of the team, you really pointed out Smart and Diaz's Zorro program. And it looks like because they're repeating Tina Turner for the umpteenth time, they've really put the effort into this free dance. And it really does create a moment. Even when there are moments that remind you of Felipe Candeloro or stickiness, they make it fun and
but it's sophisticated stickiness. His like sword fighting at the very end with that whoosh, that you don't expect at all. It's so much more elevated than anything Philippe ever did. Philippe was more like pantomime-y, but this is so sharp and so intentional. And it was the performance of the night. Yeah, even more this Canadian audience, even though they were so supportive of Piper and Paul, they were like radiating energy and burst out of their seats and could not stop clapping for the Zorro. It was sensational.
I have two thoughts on Piper and Paul. I think that they're skating better than both American teams, with the Canadians not having any other things to politic for. I do think that that's going to carry them to an Olympic medal. I don't really see, unless there are mistakes or whatnot. I also am left feeling that this year's free dance is last year's with different music, or the same. The theme is so similar. It's not my favorite. It's just not. But
it's missing the innovation, I think.
Yeah.
There was like a piggyback lift that they do at one point where she's just like on his back. Like it's back to those days where they sometimes try to do really cool things, but they're a bit clunky. Like there's a reason no one else is doing that. And I don't know if they're just still sorting out those logistics. I mean, the score here, not that you can always compare across competitions, but was higher than all of the skaters at Skate America.
I expect it to continue to be that. They are skating a little bit better. They seem more organized and confident. The flow is good. Her free leg is never going to be just a virtue. The posture is not. But they're getting it done. And they're getting it done in an Olympic season with Canada not having a lot to go for. I think the US having two teams without a real front runner, without great material on either one, is a distraction. And that I think they're able to push through. I do. It's just really.
So the thing is, they certainly do not have the same ice coverage and power as a Hubble and Donahue. That's very clear. But
what are Helen Donahue skating to? That music.
That's the thing. I think it lacks a real perspective or something.
You don't create a
The
moment.
Helen Donahue.
And the Piper and Paul, it could be schmaltzy, but it creates a moment for people. And that's
So my favorite coach of the event,
Barbara.
my friend Barbara Fusar-Poli. I was like, if I was an ant, what is that?
She's timing the lifts.
I love her. She is, if you're doing anything, please hire her as your PR person. She was out there screaming. She would like take the skate guards and like start banging the wall to like get the crowd going as they were, and she was like starting the clapping along moments. Like, I love this cheerleading, like sort of
so much.
Yeah.
I don't love their material ever. You know, she is too tall for him as a partner. It's just the mismatch. And I think that sometimes when we see things in their skating, you know, she's a little bit too like kind of almost like hunch over for him. So, you know, that's a little bit
she's taken what could have been a very unforgettable low-level team.
Yes.
And she's turned them into very technically proficient, okay enough performers. I think she's done great work with them. So again, if I were an ice dancer, I would be seeking her out also, you know, because there's such oversaturation in Montreal. I don't know why more people don't consider her an option.
The only thing is the material for me is a little bit lackluster, but technically I think she's near the top.
Yeah.
Now, how about the pair event? So this was when on paper, it had all the names that we wanted to see. They didn't perform well across both things, which was disappointing and a little bit hard to watch at times. Some really, really difficult mistakes and falls.
And scary moments, lots of scary moments.
Yeah, so, you know, Vanessa and Eric and Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marinaro, this is obviously, you know, an anticipated showdown. They've competed against each other once before. They, you know, Kirsten has had, you know, very open about, you know, her feelings about Vanessa and Eric coming back, and people knew that she was not pleased. They were ahead after the short, although on Peacock, all of the feeds from kind of went down for Kirsten and Sui and Han, so we didn't get to really watch the last two pairs.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay.
So we made it through all of the lackluster performances, and then it cut out.
Then the one you wanted, yeah.
Okay, Vanessa and Eric in person, what did you see?
That he has remarkable edges.
Yes,
that he is a beautiful skater that takes up a lot of space. I don't know that I've seen him live. I don't know that I saw Megan and Eric live ever, because I wasn't at Boston Worlds because I was in Pittsburgh at the time. So it's gorgeous. He is a gorgeous skater for real. The program, again, like you're saying, it's just more of the same a little bit, like one tone, just kind of going along. And I am too nervous sometimes now, I guess, about Vanessa to enjoy the performance, because I know the jumps are going to be scary, which I don't remember feeling that way before.
They were with Morgan. They got better towards the end, so I think we forget some of the earlier struggles and earlier seasons that they had. They ended on a great season, but it did have a mistake at the World Championships that prevented them from being in the mix for the medals. It's a clear business partnership. They haven't had that time to develop, you know, a real interpersonal relationship, and I think with all the pressure of the Olympics, it's hard for that to shine through. It starts with the music for me. The music is too drab for both programs, and because they don't have that wow skating skills. You know, I was talking to Jenny about it, and she's like, you know, this is what a team 5-6 years in could try to do this music, and they have the connection and the rhythm and the timing with one another to really nail it in the tracking. And I find that they're almost like trying to find every good Matthew Caron costume and put them together, but they don't necessarily work together. And why are we having so many jewel tones? And I don't know.
They are a very attractive team. Like they look. I mean, they're both stunners. And again, it's just interesting. Do you remember when you had Elvis on?
Yeah.
It was like, you're only given so many opportunities. So when you got one, you got to really walk through that door. And Canadian Pairs, they just flung the door open and everyone just fell right before they went through it. Like, there's such a chance here for someone to make big moves in pairs in Canada, and no one's sort of rising to the occasion. We saw that with a very scary performance from Evelyn and Trent last time. And we saw it from both teams here.
When you watch Julie Marcotte and the teams do the back crossovers and they're like going like this, they all go like that every single time. Vanessa and Eric do it. Kirsten Moore-Towers does it.
Do it one more time.
Okay, it's on the bad angle, sorry, but they all do it, and I think Vanessa and Eric is into the twist, and then they go into the Papadakis and Cizeron lean from To Build a Home, but you could just it's like paint by numbers. But
and again, it's just unfortunate, but when she fell, all the lyrics are talking about falling, and then in case you forgot she fell, for the 30 seconds after that fall, they keep saying falling. Remember, she fell, and I was like, you guys, come on. Don't do that.
And their lifts, the dismounts are really a struggle. So that's
I couldn't tell if something was going wrong or if they were just like awkward approaches or something. It was a little strange.
We're less than successful. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Less than the impact, not getting the GOE for the exit. That's certainly sure.
But Eric was one I always watched on the warm-up. He always caught my eye when he was doing his like solo edges work. I
watched the program. He's giving a great solo performance. And we used to think it was with Megan too, that maybe he is giving
it was like PCS meets technical, like so they sort of like
he's really looking at Vanessa that much. Watch him even in the death spiral, he's giving face, but he's just kind of performing. But this is his, I think, mood and shtick. I don't know that they have an identity as a pair. I think he misses some of the energy of Megan. I'm not talking about the style. I'm talking about she has a very energy and he's more like this. And I think that sometimes those energies together make something. Even if you don't like their actual pairing and the lines.
They balance out. Yeah. And this seemed like a very like sleepy like energy. Like we're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Kirsten, the twist has been rough for them, ever since the summer. So we've been never their strongest element, but a really hard go at it. And apparently she hit him on the first lift that didn't go up, and they essentially did well. But this is tough for them, and this is not the way they want their season to go.
But I remember even when I saw them at Four Continents in Anaheim, 2019, I guess that was, and like. I was sitting right where they came by with a lift and he almost dropped her into the stands. Like they're one of the pairs teams where I'm so nervous about their lifts. They don't go up quite right. They don't really do things. And it's interesting. Michael's sort of a showboater. I didn't realize that. He skates out and he does this shtick where he like flings his skate guards to the side where everyone is standing. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, focus on lifting your partner, please. Like, it was really scary. It was really scary to see the false start and then the restart. And thank God they didn't attempt. But even the lift that did work, they're very scary. Yeah, it was not enjoyable because if you're nervous a single skater is going to fall, that's one thing. If you're nervous that lifts are going to go heinously awry, that's really stressful as a viewer. Yeah, they can get seriously injured. So, unfortunate for them and very disappointing. And I think anything could happen at nationals. Someone just has to step up. Yeah, Ashley and Timothy in rough short program. A really tough fall on the Salchow for Ashley. The free it just nailed it. And just nailed it. One of the best throw landings I've ever seen her do, because she kind of consistently, kind of gets the landing. But this was like an actual throw landing. It was nice. I do find that their free music is 3 years past being impactful, but that's because everyone in the art of figure skating is using this kind of music. Right. So it works for them. I thought the costumes were great in the free. Look, they went from, after this short program, probably you would think Jessica and Brian have a good shot at making the Olympics. Right. After the free, you think, well, maybe not. Yeah. Maybe not. No. Huge medal for them. I think they really put a wrench in the plans of U.S. figure skating, and good for us as viewers because it keeps it interesting moving forward. That's exactly right. Yeah. And let the best team win. I think in that respect, they really stepped up their level, and we saw more in the free of what they're capable of doing. So it was way better, way better. And like in the past, I have not always been their biggest supporters, maybe in their material and things like that. But I do want to give a shout out because they were both so friendly with every fan that talked to them. Like there was something really nice about that when they were doing like the victory lap and all that sort of stuff. They stopped and chatted. They were taking pictures with everybody. Like it was kind of nice to see them be so approachable with all the fans.
Right. It's great to hear. And
yeah.
Obviously, when you have a medal performance, you want to talk to everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's take that picture and remember this moment. Yeah.
Yeah. How about, Sui and Han?
Oh, wait. Can we do Daria first?
Oh, yes. Pavlyuchenko and Hoydikin. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So obviously I don't understand
why they're doing Black Swan, because, the posture is not there. And
I think she's amazing. I think she's amazing. I'm not quite sure what the situation is with Dennis, because he doesn't create nice lines. The look is a little off. But what they did, like in the short program, there was a lot of like circusy, tumbling, acrobatic parts, which I was like, this is a team that probably should go to Moscovina because they're so unconventional and quirky. Maybe she could help find them, or just find her a new partner, because she is so sensational. I think her positions were great. I just loved all these like funky, different acrobatic moves in the short, even though I know the one went awry and whatever happened, it fell, but there were so many like surprising, explosive moments in it.
And obviously that twist phenomenal in the short. It wasn't executed as well here as it was at the domestic event a week ago or 2 weeks ago, but it was fantastic. And the free, they're going for the triple toe, they're going for it. And it's great to see, the Russian pairs really push.
But wait, wasn't it triple toe, double toe?
Yes.
Like
yes.
In an event where no one was landing things. I mean, they used to do the flip, but he always cheated it. So
her toe was not around, but it was what it was.
But she looks great. She knows how to extend.
And I have to say, the German team just really moved things forward. They really took advantage of, Haas and Siegert really, did very, very well at moving and taking advantage of the mistakes.
Well, the short program in particular was quite sensational and pleasing. And then when they got to the free, I was like, oh, right, you are in that lower level. Like you do, like that's when the lack of skating skills maybe was a little more apparent. But they're a lovely team. Team.
Sui and Han, let it go. How did you feel? How amazing!
I just love them. They can do no wrong in my book, even if she falls on the south. Like the way they warm up is amazing. Their connection to each other is amazing. They do unique, sophisticated things. The bridge over troubled water. I want to love it more, and I don't.
They have great.
I love them
pictures at the end, but they don't have great.
And one of the spin exits where like she comes up and all this sort of stuff, they're pretty amazing moments. Just as an overall piece, I was like, I don't know, I want something more Olympic feeling, something a bit more grand. But again, just so solid and so beautiful.
Now mistake, I believe, where we saw it before from the, that's sad. But the rest was so good. But yeah, I agree that it doesn't create the moment and the magic that they're capable of, but they are so wonderful and they have such wonderful pictures and they're trying to be innovative. So
it's so classy. There's something so classy and expensive about that team that I really like, and it makes them stand out. I just wish the music matched it a little bit.
Now let's talk about the men's event here, because this was just the moment for so many things. Maurice, that's everyone in the free. Like, what was happening, honey? This is just...
Yeah. So, okay, moment of honesty.
Yeah.
Because he was the first man to go, I missed him because that's when I ran and had to buy all of my warm clothes from the UBC bookstore.
All you have to do is pay attention to his toe loop and his salchow and the fact that they are the same exact jump. And that is what you need to know.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And what a dreadful short. You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious, because she said some very disparaging things about him in the past.
But she must have, he survived. He hasn't.
Yeah, there has to be some reason he's sticking around. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many of the men were just really tough watches, and
tough skates, yeah.
Roman Sadovsky's so lovely, and that just not happening this season. Again, that Olympic pressure, it looks like he's letting it slip away.
Yeah, I don't see, I was such a proponent of like trusting young people to take an opportunity and grow. And I really wanted them to try to send him to Worlds, to push him to like do the thing. But now I understand their decision. Like it's just too unreliable.
Well, and I think
programs.
It has to erode your confidence not being chosen for those things as well. And that plays in as well.
Yeah.
So I see both sides of that situation. It's just not a great situation now, but he's also not taking it and proving himself. He's taking it and faltering a little bit.
I mean, Nam was more solid in Vegas. I right now I see it going Keegan and Nam.
Conrad Orzel can do the jumps. There's no program, and the program kind of got away from him. Tomoki again, it's more of the same.
More of the same, yeah.
And tough. I mean, Sota Yamamoto, some lovely moments, but overall, not what it could be. So let's talk about, as far as the Russian men went, there's a lot of good jumps, not a ton of programs and personality, but I mean, obviously good to see Semenenko backing up his, surprising surge last season. And I say surprising because, we weren't sure which man was going to, go to the World Championships with Kolyada, and he took that moment. He did very well at the World Championships and backing it up. So it's always good to see someone take that opportunity and really run with it.
Yeah, I'm curious. Now Russia gets 3 men, right?
Yes, because of
him. To me, the locks right now are just him and Kolyada. Yeah. Those are the only. I have no idea who the third will be, but I think those 2 are pretty locked in. And it's funny because he's a Mishin skater, but he sort of has some like unesthetically pleasing landings, which I'm not used to. These sort of like hunchy landings, and of course, there's no real program there.
Well, it could be the house slop at Mishin, as we know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, did he choreograph the Black Swan for Pavlyuchenko and Hoydikin? Because that was, a Mishin type program.
Yeah, exactly.
Makar Ignatov, I thought, had some really nice moments. He's one that I'm keeping my eye on to make.
And it was weird, that loop issue for him, because his quad loop has been pretty consistent. But, he comes from the same rink as Aliev, who I now say I used to really love. But they train at the same rink. And I think by train, I don't mean full programs because they have both just run out of steam so consistently. And the spins are so shoddy that at first you never know, is it the team or is it the athlete? It seems to be the team, because this is sort of a continuing pattern that's happening now out of that rink. I don't know. It just looked untrained to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. How about Jason Brown? So this is interesting. You've seen him live now. I know you've seen him in the past. I don't love the costumes on him, even though I really do like the short costume. I don't think that they're so successful for him. I liked last year's costume better in the short for him.
Yeah. Okay.
The free is a miss for me, that costume.
Well, it's a little like with flames and barbed wire. Like it's a little like startling. I mean, but he's tackling a very gravitas topic. I mean, but it just seems a little like, whoa, okay, flames and barbed wire. Like,
yeah. So, okay. I think the details in his program are phenomenal. In both programs, but in the short, the details they added are so cool and so difficult and so challenging.
Wait, did he move? Did he move where he does that back split into the back lunge? It used to be my favorite part of that short program because it went so with the music. It was like jump, jump. Yeah. And so he kept the movement, which I love, but it's not so like expertly timed with the music like it was in the last season version.
I'm gonna have to review that.
I only know because it was my moment. That was my favorite moment of the whole program, and I loved the whole program.
And that's short. I mean, there were so many highlights when we saw it.
Right.
What I noticed is that he lacks some strength and power, and obviously he was off with a fracture in his leg. So he missed a lot of time over the summer when a lot of the stamina and strength gets built. So he's behind. So I'm not shading him in that area, although he did talk about his diet in one of those Instagram things, and there wasn't a lot of protein mentioned, so you also wonder about that.
Interesting.
Because he opened that door, okay, to you wonder about. And but overall, All right, I think the quad sow has got to go. I know politically you want to say that you're still working on it. It's not happening.
This is what I was going to ask you about, because sometimes we would see this with like Adam.
Mhm.
So I always thought Adam skated better when he attempted the quad lutz at the first part, or quad toe, whatever it was, but usually the quad lutz failed, but then kept going. Somehow just the fact that he was going to try it revved him up. And when he didn't try it, he sort of like let it go because there wasn't as much pressure somehow. I don't think Nathan responds well to messing up.
I mean, Jason.
Sorry, Jason.
Yeah.
Well, who would? But it's not an easy rebound for him. So if we know people that start with what they know will be a failed element. And I think they know they're starting with what won't
Jeff
count.
Buttle, the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yes. Remember, he got those points even with the fun.
But I wonder if it's worth the toll it's going to take mentally, because I think the triple axel error right after was merely because of the botched. I think so. Yeah.
It didn't create the moment. I don't find that this free has the gravitas of when Josh Ferris did it. Like and maybe it's with the fall, in the beginning, that it kind of just cut the magic. I mean, the spin at the end, we never see Jason wobble on a,
Never. Yeah.
He did, but Tracy's performance was great. Every time.
But a lot of the judges had him second in the free, which, I mean, I didn't know if they were going to be allowed to go that way, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah. He was skating after a lot of Russian men who didn't have programs, and he sure did.
And then he came out and gave you, again, a very committed perspective. And I was like, well, I'm in. Yeah.
That can happen. The skate order, you go after someone that has rough skating skills and you go and you're like, wow, and it can work in the other direction. So.
Exactly.
Well, how about Nathan Chen? You saw him last week in person. You saw him this week in person. What to you was the difference? Was there, other than the field? Because he won here. I don't know that he was better than Vincent was last week.
No. But he like changed some of the content for the free that he wouldn't have been able to do if Vincent was here.
Are we still supposed to believe that his mother changed the content for him, or is he changing? They clearly changed the content of Nathan, competition to competition. So this whole thing about the Olympics just makes me laugh every time that we think about that.
Right, exactly. I mean, the program is a miss for me, but it was nice to see him do the Lutz toe. And again, I think he proved exactly what he is, which is a stable guy. He's like, oh yeah, I messed up. I got to hit that this time. And for him, he just can. The free skate, now listen, I know because it was going better, there's a different energy to it. I so much more enjoyed the Mozart this weekend as opposed to last weekend.
I didn't enjoy it either, Ted.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a masterpiece, but there are an occasional arm movement or something that matches the music that's really lovely. And it's like, remember when Misha G would go all out at that footwork sequence to go big? And we know that's sort of Nathan's formula, right? Give it all in the step sequence and
I just don't understand the program. We start with Mozart 23, we go to Lacrimosa, then we go into the weird hip hop. It's a mess for me. I don't get it, the costume, but he's great.
But it's interesting because it goes techno or the remix of the Lacrimosa, it ends big. Yeah. So the audience will respond big. I don't know. I think
I find him beatable.
Yeah.
Which I didn't.
Although they were still given some crazy skating skills. I mean, he was all 9.5s, all this sort of
7.5 from the US.
From the American, I saw that. Yeah, I don't know. It was an easier field again, so he was always going to run away with it. But yeah, I'll be intrigued.
And obviously the roughest free, Keegan Messing, who had a really tough. Apparently his boot, they were saying, was loose, but I think that tells you about taking that deduction and just making sure that you're safe, because that triple loop fall, it looked like he hit his mouth, even with the
teeth. I was afraid. Yeah. So here's what I'll say, and I said this actually the last time we saw this free skate. I think he has to change the music. I don't think he will, but I think he has to change the music because this crowd in particular, I am so eye rolly when people clap along at a skating event. I love the intention because it's about support, it's about energy, all this sort of stuff. Not in a pretentious musical way where no one's on the beat, but for the skater, they were rushing the clapping so fast that even I, sitting in my seat, there was a feeling of rushed hysteria in the arena. arena. And so they were rushing him, and he's someone that I think gets a little wild when he performs anyway. And I think it just unhinges him. The engine is going wild. And I think it's clear now, these are two competitions where I saw the audience go off the rails with the clapping and created too much scary energy. I'm convinced that's what it is.
I think you should go back to last year's program when we get closer to the moment.
I think so too. Because again,
or him.
Remarkable skater. But I could see, and he is so generous to the audience and all this sort of stuff. I just think the audience will throw it for him every time.
So what was your moment of the week? What was your take of the event?
So I took Josh to this event, and this is the first time he's ever seen skating live. And it's always so fun to be with someone who is experiencing all this for the first time. Had the time of his life. It was great, like so fun. I think a couple of moments. I had several moments. Really, I'm going to go with the top moment is Marie-France and Barbara Fusar-Poli advocating for their teams and dancing along to the programs. I was like, these are people that love their sport. They love their job. They love their teams. Like, I enjoyed it so much. The Zorro program was a real highlight.
Yes.
The Wakaba and Elizaveta performances, real highlight. Yeah. So those are, I guess, 5 moments.
That I would agree with the ones that you mentioned. Obviously, not seeing the coaches in person, but this Smart and Diaz watching that. But then Mai Mihara was a moment.
Oh,
Wakaba's triple axel moment, but Elizaveta coming through. Yes.
More than ever before. She's bringing the things she has now, and I think kind of in the first time, like in a way. And I was like, "This is your ticket. This is literally your ticket to those Olympics."
The ladies made it a weekend of skating. So much fun to watch. And
incredible.
Next week. So hold an edge and look sexy, everyone. Bye now.